When the Kundalini rises, you actually can see the movement of Kundalini. There have been many people who have been talking of Kundalini awakening. Actually, none of them who say so have shown the rising of the Kundalini. The reason being, the Kundalini never rose. The Kundalini only rises when there is somebody who is already enlightened and who knows the job of rising the Kundalini.
I bow to all seekers of truth. These are the special times when so many seekers are born all over the world. We are not aware as to the nature of this time when we get so much worried, anxious and upset, with so many things happening around us and we do not find any answer to it. Sometimes, if you read some of the books which give all the data about what is expected of human beings, many people have now, I think, accepted the ultimate doom, and they think that after all the doom has to come, so why worry? Even Muhammad Sahib has talked about the doomsday. But much more than that, he has talked about the days of resurrection. They all have talked about the future, the day of judgment, the day of resurrection. When is this going to happen and how it is going to happen? We have to first of all know that why are we seekers and what are we seeking? When I said that you are the seekers of truth, we have to find out, first of all, what is the truth. And for that, finding out, we have to just use some logic. We have to come to some logical conclusion to begin with. Now, the first thing one must know that we have become human beings from amoeba stage. We have come to this stage with a purpose. It is not purposeless. But why have we become a human being? There must be some purpose, and if this purpose has to be served, it will be served not by some sort of an outward habit, but something inward has to happen to our awareness. Like animals do not have any awareness of cleanliness, of beauty, but human beings have. In the same way, when we become a higher personality, we have to have something happening again I say, to our awareness. And for this I would say, Jung has done a lot of work. Jung, who opposed Freud very much, and he said that if man has to evolve little higher than what he is, he will achieve his own goal. And according to him also, the goal of man is to become collectively conscious. So even the scientists, the psychologists have prepared the stage for our ascent. Even Darwin, who did not believe in God, but he did say that if man has come so far, he has to go still further somewhere at his destination. Even he would not accept a situation or a proposition in which one has to say that there is no purpose of nature in creating human beings. The second conclusion we have to come to very logically, understandingly, is that the process of evolution has been done by the living force of life. It's not done by something which is dead. Like supposing we read the book, it's all dead work. Or if we stand on our heads or do any such things, we don't create any living thing. Living thing can be understood from, living process can be understood from a living thing. Like if you have got a seed and it looks like a dead thing, but you put it in the Mother Earth, then it starts sprouting by itself, spontaneously. How it happens, why it happens, you can't explain, but it does. You see for yourself that it happens. And that kind of a living force has worked out your evolution without your knowledge. But now, in your knowledge, it has to happen. That's the only difference between the evolutionary process so far and further. And because it has to be in your knowledge, you are given complete freedom to choose either the ascent or the descent. And when you come to this right conclusion that it has to be done through some living process, then you must understand another point, that you cannot pay for it, not a single pie. You cannot pay for it. This is something very difficult for human beings to understand, that you can get something without paying, but you are getting so many things. You get the sun's rays without paying for it. Everything, this pay business and all this economic activity has been started by human beings alone. It's not done by God. Perhaps God never understands money at all, but it's all done by human beings. And also they want to bring in God into the same pattern and say that you can sell God. You cannot organize God and you cannot sell God. So another conclusion we have to reach, that we cannot purchase God or His divine power. This has to be brought to us spontaneously. Means that we cannot sort of work it out ourselves. It's some sort of a grace, or we can say a force that has to work it, and when that grace works it out, we can become a higher personality, as we have become higher personality so far. Now this grace about which people have talked, that there is an all-pervading power everywhere, and this all-pervading power is doing every living work. Like, again I said, that the living process where we see a flower becoming a fruit. Thousands and thousands of flowers we see are becoming fruits. How do they become? They become spontaneously. But how? A flower just becomes a fruit, we take it for granted. Now the thing is, this all-pervading power is everywhere. And that pervading power does this living job everywhere. Not only that it makes a flower into a fruit, but also it decides which flower has to become what fruit. It decides, it coordinates, it organizes, and it loves. So this power we have to feel. We never feel it. We see only nothing but the breeze blowing, but we don't see any power being existing in this atmosphere. The reason is this power is subtler for our feelings. We cannot feel it. It's the frequency of this power, we cannot feel it. So how are we to feel this power? Is the first question should come logically into our head. There must be something more must happen to us. We have to become subtler personality to feel that power. Now this becoming is the knowledge of the roots, is not the knowledge of the tree. Whatever we have achieved through our mental projections, or all discoveries and everything we have done about nature, is we have put them in the books, and all that is nothing but the knowledge of the tree. But this tree is sustained by the roots. And these roots are sustaining this great tree which is growing. But if this tree doesn't look after its roots, a day will come that it is going to be destroyed. And that's why people are frightened that this creation is going to be destroyed now. It's just on the verge of destruction. Even the human beings, who are the epitome of great evolution, have done nothing. In totality, if you see, the science has advanced more towards destruction than towards construction. It has constructed few things, all right, But in a whole way, supposing you construct the whole house very beautifully, make everything beautifully and decorate it nicely, and then you put a big bomb underneath it. That's what we have done out of science. We have created all these nice things, and then we have got this hydrogen bomb, this bomb, that bomb, planted on all the sides, that if a button is pressed, the whole thing can collapse, whatever we have created with such difficulty. So look at the stupidity of our endeavor, our enterprise, the way we have worked it out, that in totality we are just facing our own destruction through our own mental projection. So the other thing that has to happen to us in our realization is that we find out a method by which we understand the constructive side of life. Anything done without the spirit in it, without God's grace in it, leads you to destruction. Even the elements can get upset with such a society and can start destroying such societies. But if the elements do not take over, it is only the same societies which are trying to elevate a society to higher level, themselves turn back upon themselves and start destroying them. Because there are no moorings for us, there are no rules. Because this kite which is flying has lost its attachments. The attachment has to be to the spirit. Shri Krishna has said that yoga kshema vahamyaham, that you get your yoga, means union with the divine. Once you get union with the divine, then I look after your kshema, means I look after your well-being, is said by Shri Krishna. But he doesn't say that first I will look after your kshema and then you get your yoga. It's the other way now. You have to take to your yoga. Now the right conclusion about yoga, we should find out what is yoga. Now many people think that doing hatha yoga, which is just a little bit of standing on your head business, is yoga. It is not. It's very commonly said, I am doing my yoga. I mean, you can't do yoga. You have to be in yoga. Yoga means union with the divine. And this happens to you. It just happens to you, by which you become connected with your spirit. What Christ has said is the rebirth. We are to be born again. But human beings are so much deceptive to themselves. They deceive themselves so much that I have known people that when I went to America, I told them that you have to be born again and all that. After that, some of them started an organization calling Born Again. And they just self-certify themselves that we are born again. But I mean, how can you certify yourself as born again when you haven't got the qualities, the capacities and the powers of a twice born personality? Now, we have to understand also that if it is going to be a new birth, a transformation must take place within us. We must have a transformation. But you'll find that all efforts people have put in, of conditioning, giving puritanical ideas and doing all sorts of things, it has not been able to give people to transform themselves. It has not led to any transformation. On the contrary, there are addictions to all kinds of habits, addiction to all kinds of thoughts, and also enslavement to all sorts of conditioning has not at all vanished. In some way or other, they get, if they are communists, they become capitalists. If they are capitalists, they become communists. You see, from one to another, you are going into some sort of an ism. But in Sahaja Yoga, there is nothing like ism, because you are only human beings. Only human beings in the eyes of God. He has created variety. He has created one variety of, say, Australians. In Australia also he has created so many varieties. As you have so many flowers, we have so many human beings. But inside every flower flows this vital force of God's love. And that vital force is to be understood through going into the roots, not from outside, through your mental projection. Actually, through your mental projection, how far can you go? Because it's a limited brain that you are using to understand a problem. But you have to go to the unlimited. If it is so, something has to trigger it. Your ascent into that space where it is unlimited. And that's why we have to know that through only logical conclusion, we can come up to the door. But afterwards, you have to enter through this door through that triggering, otherwise you cannot enter into it. As a scientist, you must keep your mind open and you must accept this as a hypothesis placed before you. Now, this hypothesis, if it is proved right, you have to accept it as a law, the divine law. Now, this hypothesis is that you have got all these 7 centers within you, and you have got the power called as the Kundalini placed in the triangular bone. Now one may say that this is a Sanskrit word, and Sanskrit is not for only Indians, it is for all of us. It's as English language is for all of us, in the same way Sanskrit is also for all of us. But only thing I would say that as the West was more busy with the advancement outside, there were people who were busy with the advancement down. And these people are the seers who have seen that there is a power which is settled down in the triangular bone called as sacrum. Now this is a Greek word. It is very interesting to know that sacrum means sacred. And I asked the Greeks, when I went to Greece, I asked them, why do you call it sacrum? They said that most of these words have come to us because we have had a very long rapport with the Indo-Aryan groups. So when was that? They said it was much before Alexander went to India. So we knew about India a long time back, and the Indians told us that this is a sacred bone. Even doctors know that when the whole body burns, this bone does not burn. It takes lot of temperature, very high temperature, to burn this bone. And when you put it in the cremation, this thing and all that, that has to be brought to a very high temperature so that this bone should burn. But with other temperatures, lower temperatures, the whole body may burn, but this bone will remain still unburnt. So the reason is, there is this power which is protecting it. Now this power is called as Kundalini because it has got 3.5 coil within it. You might have read, some of you being seekers, you must have read books about Kundalini. And everywhere I go, people tell me that, Mother, we have heard that this is a very dangerous thing to have the Kundalini awakened, and it's very, very wrong to touch it. No, this is something absurd. First of all, this is the only way you are going to get your realization. It's the primune, it's the germ within you, the germinating power within you, which is going to give you the ascent. And how can that be a thing that will be dangerous for you? There must be something wrong. For example, I don't understand about this instrument or about electricity, and put my both the fingers in the plug, and I get a shock and I say, oh, it's the most dangerous thing that you can have. That means I don't know how to handle it. But Kundalini, when she is said to be troubling people, it is never the Kundalini, but this first center of innocence, which gets into annoyance. And when it gets into annoyance, it sends a lot of heat in the body, and that heat is felt in the body by so many people. When people who have no authority from God Almighty, we can say, those who are not holy people, those who are making money in the name of God, those who are people with very bad characters, who have no possibility of even taking the name of God, such people, when they try these tricks, it happens to you that you feel that tremendous heat in the body. One must know that heat is not a sign of spirituality. Everywhere, whether it is Sanskrit or any language, they have said that it's a cooling thing. It cools you down. Even a person, we say, he's cool-minded, means he's not violent. Now in science, if you try to cool down the helium gas, you'll find that when it is not cooled down, it is heated up, all molecules fight each other. They become so violent that they hit each other. They form certain groups, hit each other, and then these groups also again hit each other. But when helium gas is cooled down, they all become collective and they start behaving in a manner that is very collective. So the idea is, people who say that with Kundalini you get tremendous heat, to start jumping, and some people told me that they start jumping like a frog. One gentleman sitting before me had put both his legs on the ground, he was sitting. So they said, you can't put these feet towards Mother. So I asked him, I called him, I said, what's the problem? You see, Indians understand how to respect a sage. So I said, what's the problem? Why are you putting your legs towards me? He said, Mother, if I sit with folded feet, I start jumping like a frog. So I said, are you going to become a frog now? Just think about it. You are not going to become a frog or a bird. You are going to become a higher personality. Who has told you that you are becoming a frog? He said, my Kundalini is awakened by a guru and he has given me this book, and in that book it was written, actually I saw with my own eyes, what a misleading thing, that he is a person who gets his Kundalini awakened, such starts jumping like a frog. Now, all these absurd things must be understood, that all abnormalities are dropped out after you become the spirit. Because that's the most beautiful thing you have within us. Spirit is the reflection of God Almighty. And when the Kundalini rises and pierces through your fontanelle bore area, where you actually get your baptism, that time you become a beautiful person, a decent person, sweet person, a nice person. And you forget all your violence. Not only that, but you feel the love for others and not violence.
You all are capable of getting self-realization, all of you. Whatever must be your past doesn't matter. We have to be in the present. Past is finished, future doesn't exist. You will be in the present, and that's the reality, which you all can feel the vibration. So, one should not have any such ideas that I have done this wrong, how can I get realization? This is unnecessary. You should never think that you are guilty. If you were, you would have been in the jail. You would not have been here. So, don't think you are guilty. Don't judge yourself. You don't know yourself. It is to know yourself you have to do this. And don't judge. You must have great respect and love for yourself. And I am sure it will work out tonight as desired by these people. But those who don't want to have self-realization, I would say they can go. Because I don't want them to disturb others. Supposing if you don't want, it cannot be forced. It has to be asked for. You cannot force it onto anyone. You cannot pay for it. You cannot do anything about it. But if the Kundalini doesn't rise, it's all right. We'll have a center where you can go and get it corrected. Maybe something wrong in the chakras which you do not know, and they will find out. So it will take hardly any time. Hardly any time. Have faith in yourself. First of all, have faith in yourself, and this will work out. First, I think to forgive others is difficult. You see, the Western people, they cannot forgive themselves. And for Indians, the other way around. They cannot forgive others. You see, I don't know why there is this kind of a different, attitude. But we should forgive ourselves also. God has created you as human being, not to be ruined like this, not to be shattered like this, but to achieve your glory. Realization. You have to just put your hands towards me like this. I think if you have shoes, you have to take it out. Helps us a lot. We are sitting in Delhi. We are here in this Bharat Bhumi, in this Yoga Bhumi. It works very fast. In this country, it works very fast. And also with you people, because you love this country very much, you work so hard for this country. So it works very fast. So don't have any apprehensions. Just put your both the hands like this. Again, I would request you must forgive yourself and others. That's very important, because if you don't do that, then your center here, we call the Vishuddhi chakra, will be blocked. I mean, the guilt part is will be blocked, and if you don't forgive, then this Adya chakra will be blocked. Please put your hands like this, little lower. Now, first we'll start feeling some cool or hot breeze on your fingertips and also on your thumb. Then in the palm, you start feeling a cool or a hot breeze. Some people start thinking that this air conditioning, it has nothing to do with air conditioning. So please have faith in yourself. Now, please put right hand towards me and put down your head a little and feel with your left hand on top of your fontanelle bone area, which was called as talu. If there's a cool or a hot breeze coming out. Now please put down your heads a little and see for yourself. Move your hand. It might be coming very far, maybe very close, but don't put your hand on top, but above. Just move, please. Move it on the sides and see for yourself that there's a cool or a hot breeze like coming. It is hot means you have not forgiven. It means only that you have to really say, I forgive. You don't have to do anything except you have to say in your heart, I forgive everyone. That's a very great quality. Now please put your left hand towards me and see with your right hand. Again bend your head please and see for yourself if there's a cool or a hot breeze coming out of your head. Just see for yourself. Now, please put your right hand again. Right hand is more. So put the right hand like this and see for yourself. Now again put both the hands towards you. And don't think. Just don't think. You can stop thinking, even for a second. That's very good. This is called as nirvicharita. Then comes a stage to become nirvikalpa. When there is no doubt in your head, you become into doubtless awareness. Where you're sure you've got it, you're sure you can do everything. That is the stage one has to rise.